Now I know I'm late to the party on this one, but in my defense I only created this YouTube channel a day ago, at the time of writing. I've owned the game for a couple of months, but the burning question that's been on my mind, and the essay I wish to discuss with you today is Baldur's Gate 3 created an example of gaming that no other studio will come close to competing with? Hi, I'm Dan, aka Baldur's Heathen, and today that's exactly what we're going to discuss. I want to preface this essay in saying that this is not a praise only for this one type of game, and that other games that have come out last year and were the big contenders for Game of the Year are not worthy of their own admiration. This is more of a look at the game industry as a whole, with critique on certain game models as a service within the industry. And hey, if you like those kinds of games, that's fine. I'm not here to try and dissuade your opinion. With that in mind, let's get into it. As a long-time Dungeons & Dragons player, I am very privy to how most tabletop games go, and what Larian have managed to achieve is nothing short of the best example of a tabletop game of D&D being turned into a video game format. Not an easy feat by any means, from any developer, but the dedication to the care and craft work of translating a mostly theatre of the mind game, with character sheets and dice rolling, into an actualised digital game with all of those things in place and make it work for several different types of playstyles is nothing short of a miracle. And where some developers may have a cool concept or decent game mechanic, will fall through on other avenues. Larian were able to achieve this with minimal pushback or fault. And when gaming content comes along with that level of consideration for its players, it really does deserve the revenue of popularity it receives. We're seeing it now with Palworld, the game I discussed in my first video. We notice when a studio cares about its development and vision, and it makes the experience and community all the better for it. And as gamers, isn't that just all that we really want? Now, that's not to say it's literally quote-unquote the perfect game. It didn't descend down from the heavens to bless us all. Like all games, it does have its faults. Not that I've found many. It wasn't packaged with DLC in mind, it wasn't day one patched. Sure, there have been patches since release, but the game was perfectly fine and playable from the get-go. The hotfixes, as they are known, are just there to put in to fix player-noticed issues, as developers can't stress test everything, and that's what the audience is there for in many ways. But there are too many developers who rely on us as their playtesters, whilst usually paying full price for the game. I won't name any developers here, but you can see for yourself. Now, that's not to say most of these games have gone on to become great in their own right, but too many games have come out that have required a lengthy patch update after you've already spent a lengthy amount of time installing it to your hard drive. Why must we suffer the developers' lack of foresight when we're already giving them our money to play the damn thing? Larian's Baldur's Gate came out without a whiff of any concerns for the developers that their players were not going to have an enjoyable time, and what's more, when I mentioned about no DLC being planned as part of the release, they gave us a fully fledged game, with all of its story intact and ready to go right from the start. Something that hasn't truly been seen in many years. And yes, I'm aware that they added post-game content after the launch, specifically with the epilogue, but that seems more of an added bonus than an afterthought.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. Ah! Good God! It's hideous.
Now imagine if Larian had done that, and the joyous of joys were felt across gamers everywhere when they knew there would be no microtransactions. Can you imagine? Want to dress your favourite pale vampire, Starian, in a neat hat and cool clothes? Well, sorry, that appears to be locked behind a paywall. No, there would be no live service for Baldur's Gate 3. Thank the heathen gods above. And this, in the current gaming landscape, unfortunately, is the norm. I think what Sven Vimke, apologies if I have butchered that name, and his team have accomplished is nothing short of a modern day miracle for gamers. A fully playable, polished game with hotfixes instead of patches, no procedurally generated quests, nothing of the sort that puts a slight amount of shame to the gaming industry by today's standards. And this is a precedent of what we as gamers want to see going forward. The gaming industry is in a state of flux right now, and even big name companies who were once crowned kings and queens have fallen prey to the underbelly of capitalistic live servicing. So what can we hope to see going forward from the gaming landscape, using Larian as a beacon, as a tentpole in society of what's to come? Games getting back to their roots and understanding what is at the heart of every good decision. Knowing your audience. Is there an audience for live service games? Of course there are. Is there an audience for day one patch releases? Some might appreciate the extra care they took to make sure you didn't get a buggy mess on day one. Is there an audience for loot boxes and microtransactions? Heathens forbid, I hope not, after all these years. So I want to finalise and conclude by saying I absolutely applaud Larian Studios and Sven for what they are doing within this landscape, and really hope that by them winning the Game of the Year awards, other developers are starting to take note and see, maybe we shouldn't add the micro loot procedurally generated patch service. We'll see. Big thank you again to my commission sponsor Minva, still 10% off any of their orders off the website using the code BouldersHeathen. Please go and check them out for some really cool D&D things. And a huge thank you to all of you who watch these videos. I couldn't be more grateful. You guys have really encouraged me to keep doing this, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Much love. Stay heathens.